And now, here for you, for Champaign-Urbana, Illinois, and the world, this is News View.
And welcome to News View, the first News View of the 4-year for Mondays. I had the first for 4 years on Friday night. Thanks for tuning in. The top story tonight. The top story, according to WCIA TV Channel 3 News in Champaign, which is a CBS affiliate, is that out of Champaign, investigators are saying Desiree Austin, age 20, was shot and killed Wednesday night in at Thornton and Cruising Lane in Champaign, Illinois. Police found Austin lying in the intersection around 10:30 p.m. with a gunshot wound. If you know any information at all to give about this crime, call Crime Stoppers at 373-TIPS or 373-TIPS. And in Champaign, according to the Peoria Journal-Star at pjstar.com, they are saying that food trucks are allowed in Champaign, Illinois, but in Peoria, their city council voted 6-5, shooting down an ordinance that would permit mobile food trucks within the city's limits, including designated areas downtown and Peoria. Opponents of the ordinance include Mayor Jim Ardis, and he argued that the trucks would take away business from downtown restaurants. At-large City Councilman Eric Turner of Peoria said some of the restaurants lobbied against the ordinance, claiming that if food trucks were allowed by the council, they would proliferate throughout the city. Proponents wanted to give food trucks a try, saying the ordinance only allowed for 3 of them in Peoria. And they say here that the mayor of Champaign, Don Gerard, says, quote, "It turns the park into a party," unquote, about food trucks in Champaign or anywhere else, I guess. So what do you think, says the Peoria Journal-Star? Should Peoria city officials have given this experiment a chance like Champaign has done, or do Peoria's restaurants need more protecting than in Champaign, where a large university crowd of students and employees patronize diverse arrays of eateries? That according to the Peoria Journal-Star. Now, according to WICD TV 15, the ABC affiliate in Champaign, University and Lincoln Avenue, the intersection there is closed. I saw it myself today, folks. It is closed. They're tearing up the railroad tracks that go through that intersection. And Channel 15 says as of 6 this morning, the Illinois Department of Transportation closed the University and Lincoln Avenue intersection. Crews will be replacing the Norfolk Southern Railroad crossing. The intersection will be closed from 7 to 10 days. In other news, on the national scene, President Obama has called for extending most tax cuts, and this sets up an election year fight, according to MSNBC at msnbc.com. This comes from Michael O'Brien. He says President Barack Obama urged Congress on Monday to extend expiring tax cuts for most American households, injecting the issue of tax fairness into the 2012 campaign. President Obama, speaking early this afternoon at the White House, again voiced support to allow tax cuts for households earning over $250,000 per year to expire at the end of 2012, while also preserving existing rates for households earning less than that. He said, quote, "We don't need more top-down economics. We tried that theory. We can't afford to go back to it," unquote. Obama also said, quote, "That's why I believe it's time for the tax cuts of the wealthiest Americans, including myself, to expire." And Michael says, Congress is likely to do anything but that, though. Republicans who control the House of Representatives quickly rejected Obama's proposal as a tax hike, though the president sought to decouple the middle-class tax cuts from the high-end breaks. Obama urged lawmakers to act now to extend most of the expiring tax cuts and have a second debate, likely to be decided in November's election, on the tax cuts for the wealthiest. And you can read more about that at firstread.msnbc.msn.com. And according to PR Urgent, the Free Press Release Service, a top Champaign, Illinois real estate team has switched from RE/MAX to Keller Williams Realty. Ryan Davis' team, which was previously with RE/MAX Realty and Associates, has annually been recognized as one of the top producing real estate teams in Central Illinois. So now they have made the switch from RE/MAX to Keller Williams Realty. And they say, quote, "It was an honor to go into business with mega agent Ryan Davis, Keller Williams Realty, and then the Ryan Davis team is a perfect match with the philosophy of clients first, training, and agent production," said Keller Williams Realty managing broker Scott Betchjo. And again, according to Channel 15 this time, in Champaign, police are still looking for a man who robbed the First Midwest Bank just before noon last Friday in Champaign. So First Midwest Bank has been robbed yet again. The bank has been robbed several times in the past, and those who live and work nearby say the frequency is worrisome. The First Midwest Bank is on the corner of Prospect and Springfield Avenues in Champaign, and there are several businesses and residential neighborhoods close to it. And one woman was working inside the business, they say, at the time of the robbery, says James Fillmore of Channel 15 News. And according to the Washington Times, Governor of Texas, Rick Perry, says Texas will not expand Medicaid. He said this on Monday, that his state won't expand Medicaid or set up an insurance exchange, joining a growing number of Republican governors who are rejecting two key parts of President Obama's health care law. Mr. Perry said, quote, "I will not be party to socializing health care and bankrupting my state in direct contradiction to our Constitution and our founding principles of limited government," unquote. He joins more than half a dozen GOP governors who have already said they won't increase the size of their Medicaid programs to cover Americans up to at least 133% of the poverty level, after the Supreme Court upheld most of the law last month, but said states could opt out of the Medicaid expansion. He also said, quote, "I stand proudly with the growing chorus of governors who reject the Obamacare power grab," unquote. He also said neither a state exchange nor the expansion of Medicare under this program would result in better patient protection or more affordable care. They would only make Texas a mere appendage of the federal government when it comes to health care. Under the court's decision, states can still collect all of their existing Medicaid funding even if they don't expand their programs to cover Americans up to 133% of the federal poverty level. But if they don't set up exchanges, the law allows the federal government to step in and do it for them. And we'll be right back after this break. Stay tuned for Champaign-Urbana's News View.
Rain in our cities flows into the water we drink. Plant trees in your community so the water that flows into our rivers and streams will be clean and safe. Support Tree City USA. Visit arborday.org to find out how.
Welcome back to News View. Now, if you have any questions, comments, complaints, or informational tips, you can email those to me at newsview@email.com. Stay tuned for weather after more of this news. According to CBS Channel 2 in Chicago, Illinois, it's TV, the death of 8 or more people in Chicago over the weekend was attributed in least in part to heat-related causes, bringing the total of heat-related deaths in Cook County to 18, surpassing the total from last year. Autopsies conducted on Sunday by the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office listed what stress as a factor in the latest deaths can include. Lucille Griffith, 100 of the 7300 block of South Peoria Street, Chicago, was pronounced dead at St. Bernard Hospital and the Health Center at 9:56 a.m. Saturday. The autopsy found she died of heart disease with heat stress as a contributing factor. Irene Morardi, 89, of the 7600 block of South 60th Place in Summit, Illinois, was pronounced dead at the Advocate Christ Medical Center in Oak Lawn at 1:02 p.m. Saturday. An autopsy found Morardi died of heart disease with heat stress as a contributing factor. Mary Williams, age 56, of the 20th block of East 122nd Place, was pronounced dead at Roseland Community Hospital at 1:07 p.m. The autopsy Sunday found Williams died of heart disease with obesity and heat stress as contributing factors. Sherry Garrett, age 53, of the 1400 block of South Hammond Avenue in Chicago, was pronounced dead at her home at 4:28 p.m. Saturday. An autopsy found she died of heart disease with diabetes, heat stress, and obesity, all as contributing factors, according to the medical examiner. And the list goes on. Heat had already been ruled a factor in the deaths of 10 throughout Cook County, according to the medical examiner's office. And the list goes on, and you can see more of that at CBS, at chicago.cbslocal.com. And a couple in New York City were arrested for dancing at a train platform. The two-stepping couple in their 50s say they were trotted off to jail after police in New York City arrested them for dancing on a subway platform. This comes to us from the Mail Online from the UK. Caroline Stern, a dentist, and George Hess, a movie prop master, were waiting for a train at the Columbus Circle station after a late evening at jazz at Lincoln Center's Midsummer Night's Swing last year when they began dancing the Charleston to a musician playing the steel drums. Miss Stern says she and her boyfriend were feeling the beat and there were very few people on the platform, so they started moving to the rhythm. That's when police came and spoiled the fun, they told the New York Post. They said, quote, "What are you doing?" And we said, "We're dancing," she recalled. And they said, "You can't do that on the platform." The officers demanded their ID. When Miss Stern only had a credit card, the police ordered the couple to go with him. When Mr. Hess pulled out a camera to start recording the incident, the officers called for backup and the situation turned nasty, the couple says. They claim more police ran into the subway platform and tackled Mr. Hess, age 54, to the floor and handcuffed him. Miss Stern, age 55, was also cuffed and arrested. Officers charged them with resisting arrest and disorderly conduct for impeding the flow of traffic. Miss Stern told the Post the subway station was nearly empty at the time. Quote, "It was absolutely ridiculous that this happened," she said, unquote. Prosecutors dropped all charges against the couple, though not before they spent 23 hours in jail. As a result of the arrest, Ms. Stern said her and Mr. Hess are now suing the city of New York for the arrest. And that's an odd story, isn't it? Kind of sad, too. But let's go on. The record U.S. heat wave is blamed for the spike in murders in America, according to the Telegraph. Dozens of people have died after blistering heat spread across half the U.S., sinking planes into tarmac, derailing trains, and even being blamed for a spike in murders. Temperatures rose beyond 104 degrees Fahrenheit, or 40 degrees centigrade, in cities from Kentucky to Pennsylvania, with a record 107 degrees Fahrenheit, or 41.7 centigrade, registered briefly in Washington, D.C. This according to the John Swaney in Washington. Some 16 murders have been recorded in New York City over the past 5 days, roughly twice the average rate. One city councilman described the city as a brewing cauldron. At least 36 more have died across the region in incidents linked to the heat. Most victims were elderly, but a 4-month-old girl died in Indianapolis after being left in a hot car in 106 degrees Fahrenheit heat. 2 people were killed after a train derailed in Chicago, while a U.S. Airways flight was delayed after the plane sank into the softened tarmac of a runway at Reagan Airport in Washington. Meanwhile, more than 400,000 people around Virginia, West Virginia, Ohio, Maryland, and New Jersey, and Indiana remain without power in their homes for a full week after being lashed by storms, leaving them with no cooling systems or refrigeration. The U.S. National Weather Service issued excessive heat warnings for several states and said, quote, drink plenty of fluids, stay in air-conditioned rooms, stay out of the sun, and check up on relatives and neighbors, unquote. That's what they warned the residents. More than 4,500 daily record highs have been recorded around the country over the past 30 days, said forecasters. The prolonged high temperatures were blamed on a huge dome of high-pressure air covering vast swaths of the country, which blocked cooling winds and kept humidity high. And you can read more about that at the Telegraph at telegraph.co.uk. And the House in Washington, according to The Hill, is expected to approve legislation as early as Monday that would provide grant money to states to fight bullying at schools. The bill, H.R. 6019, would refine a current law that already allows federal grants for programs meant to boost school safety, but it adds more specificity to the provision and allows for grants to cover school safety programs that, quote, may include research-based bullying prevention, cyberbullying prevention, and gang prevention programs, as well as an intervention program regarding bullying. And according to CNN, the Taliban shot women 9 times in a public execution as men cheered in Kabul, Afghanistan. They say a shot rings out, but the burqa-clad women sitting on the rocky ground did not respond. The man pointing a rifle at her from a few feet away let loose another round, but there's still no reaction. He fires a third shot, and finally the woman slumps backwards, but the man fires another shot and another, 9 in all. Around him, dozens of men on a hillside cheer, quote, God is great, unquote. Officials in Afghanistan, where the amateur video was filmed, believe the woman was executed because 2 Taliban commanders had dispute over her, according to the governor of the province where the killing took place. And according to 9 News Australia, a family has been slugged with a carbon tax fee for a funeral. A Melbourne family who claimed they were slugged an extra $55 carbon tax charge when burying a relative were told even the dead don't escape the carbon tax. Erica Malachi and her family were buying her father-in-law at Springville Cemetery when she was burying her father-in-law there, when she was told the price for funeral burial plot had increased because of the carbon tax. The father-in-law died June 30th, the day before the carbon tax was introduced, and was buried early last week. Quote, I thought to myself, what carbon could possibly be used by putting a man in a grave, unquote, Miss Malaki said. And she also said, quote, all they did was put the dirt back in. How can they charge us a carbon tax for burying someone, unquote. Miss Malaki's son Ziad said the cemetery's receptionist told their sister-in-law, even the dead don't escape the carbon tax. We were pretty upset. That was a comment that was a kick in the guts, he said. Climate Change Minister Greg Combret said it would be reprehensible if any cemetery were taking advantage of grieving families by overcharging them for funerals. The ACCC, which is investigating 3 companies accused of blaming the tax for price hikes, said it would be willing to investigate these claims. Now, that's according to Herald Sun and Ali Best and editor Will Jackson. In Maryland, higher taxes have chased out the rich, says CNBC. A new report says wealthy Maryland residents may be moving out due to a recent tax hike. The recent tax hikes, which is a finding that is sure to escalate the battle over taxing the American rich. The study by the anti-tax group Change Maryland says the net of 31,000 residents left the state between 2007 and 2010, the tenure of a millionaire's tax pushed through by the government. Martin O'Malley, the governor, is responsible for this, and the tax, which expired in 2010, imposed a rate of 2.25% on incomes more than $1 million a year. The Change Maryland study found that the tax cost Maryland $1.7 billion in lost tax revenues. A county-by-county analysis by Change Maryland also found the state's wealthiest counties had some of the largest population outflows. In total, Maryland has added 24 new taxes or fees in recent years, Change Maryland says. Florida, which has no income tax, has been a large recipient of Maryland's exiled wealthy. And you can see more of that at cnbc.com. And one more story. In Illinois, authorities in Mount Vernon, Illinois, say a house fire killed one person and injured two others Monday around 12 a.m. This according to WJPF radio in southern Illinois. Kevin Sargent with the Mount Vernon Fire Department says the person who died, Carol Rainey, was alone in the home and that the two survivors were injured trying to get her out of the home during the early morning fire. One person was seriously injured. The house was a total loss. There's no immediate word about what caused the fire. Stay tuned for weather. Your Central Illinois weather forecast right here on NewsView is next.
Hi, I'm Jason Liggett, and this is your NewsView weather forecast. For tonight, mostly clear skies, an overnight low of 61 degrees as we get into tomorrow, Tuesday, warming up to a high of 88 under mostly sunny skies. Later Tuesday night, mostly clear, 59 for the low. As we look ahead towards Wednesday, sunny again, a high of 88. Later Wednesday night, 62 degrees for the low under mostly clear skies. I'm Jason Liggett. Thanks so much for tuning in to NewsView. All right. Yeah, you can stop it.